such question to Sukadeva Goswami was based on his principle by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthyanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajami aham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or the descent of Bharata and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. The Lord appears in each incarnation to save the world from irreligious principles and especially to protect his devotees. Paritranaya Sadhunam. Vamanade, for example, appeared to save the devotee Bali Maharaj. Similarly, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepted the abominable form of fish, he must have done so to favor some devotee. Parikshit Maharaj was eager to know about the devotee from whom the Supreme Lord accepted this form. Text 4. Sutta Goswami said, when Parikshit Maharaj thus inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, that most powerful saintly person began describing the pastime of the Lord's incarnation as a fish. Text 5. So now I'm going to read the Sanskrit and we can read together. Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Go Vipra Shura Sadhunam
Go Vipra Shura Sadhunam
Sandasham Apishesha Vara
Sandasham Apishesha
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Dharmasyartayasya Shevahi
Dharmasya Tartasya Chevahi
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Go Vipra Sura Sadhunam
Go Vipra Shura Sadhunam
Sandasham Apishesha Vara
Sandasham Apishesha
Raksham Icham Stanudhate
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Dharmasya Tasya Shevahi
Dharmasya Tasya Chevahi
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Go Vipra Sura Sadhunam
Go Vipra Sura Sadhunam
Sandasham Apishevara
Sandasham Apishesha
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Dharmasya Tasya Shevahi
Dharmasya Tasya Chevahi
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Go Vipra Sura Sadhuna
Go Vipra Sura Sadhuna
Chandasam Api Cheshvara
Chandasam Api Cheshvara
Raksham Icham Stanudhate
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Dharmasyarthasya Chevahi
Dharmasya Tasya Chevahi
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Go Viprasura Sadhuna
Go Viprasura Sadhuna
Chandasam Apicheshvara
Chandasam Apicheshvara
Raksham Icham Stanudhate
Raksham Icham Tanudhate
Dharmasyarthasya Chaivahi
Dharmasya Tasya Chevahi Shri Shuka Uvacha Go
Shri Shuka Uvacha Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Sukadeva Goswami said,
Shri Shuka Goswami
Go
of the cows,
of the cows
Vipra
Vipra
of the Brahmanas,
of the Brahmanas
Sura
Sura
of the demigods,
of the demigods
Sadhunam
Sadhunam
and of the devotees,
and of the devotees
Chandasham Api,
Chandasam Api
even of the Vedic literatures,
even of the Vedic literature
Shah
Cha
and
and
Ishvaraha,
Ishvara
the supreme controller,
the supreme controller
Raksham,
Raksham
the protection,
protection
Ichan,
Icham
desiring,
Desiring
Tanudhate,
Tanudhate
accepts the form of incarnation,
accepts the forms of incarnation
Dharmasya,
Dharmasya
of the principles of religion,
the principles of religion
Artasya,
Artasya
of the principles of the purpose of life,
of the principles of truth of life
Sha
Cha
and
and
Eva,
Eva
indeed,
indeed
he, certainly.
certainly
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literatures, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the forms of incarnations. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead generally appears in various types of incarnations to give protection to the cows and brahmanas. The Lord is described as Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. In other words, he is always eager to benefit the cows and brahmanas. When Lord Krishna appeared, he purposefully became a cowherd boy and showed personally how to give protection to the cows and cows. Similarly, he showed respect to Sudama Vipra, a real brahmana. From the Lord's personal activities, human society should learn how to give protection, specifically to the brahmanas and cows. Then the protection of religious principles, fulfillment of the aim of life, and protection of Vedic knowledge can be achieved. Without protection of cows, Brahminical culture cannot be maintained, and without Brahminical culture, the aim of life cannot be fulfilled. The Lord, therefore, is described as Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha because his incarnation is only for the protection of the cows and brahmanas. Unfortunately, because in Kali Yuga there is no protection of the cows and Brahminical culture, everything is in precarious position. If human society wants to be exalted, the leaders of society must follow the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita and give protection to the cows, the brahmanas, and Brahminical culture. End of the purport. Om Magyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm gonna read the translation again. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the forms of incarnation. So as we know, Lord Krishna comes in various incarnations. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya sadhuskishtam dharma samstapana karma sambhavami yuge yuge. That the Lord comes in his incarnation to protect the Vedic literature. So this is what he said here. The Lord is coming to protect the Vedic literatures, and he's also coming as a cowherd boy. So why he's coming as a cowherd boy? He's coming to actually show the example to how we have to actually take care of the cows. It's not by accidents when Krishna choose certain incarnation, is to actually show us examples. So he came as Master incarnation to protect the Vedic literatures. So this is what is about in this chapter, Master the Lord's fish incarnation. And also he comes as a cowherd boy to show us the example of how is it important to care of the cows. That's why we are always chanting this mantra before offering prashadam, Go Brahmana Itaya Cha, which is meaning we need to protect cows and brahmanas. And one of the names of Krishna is Govinda or Gopal, which means actually protector of the cows or giving pleasure to the cows. Actually, Prabhupada was saying that when you see happy people, when you see happy cows, then you see happy people. When you see sad cows, then the people are not happy. And as we know, in this Kali Yuga, the cows are mistreated, and we have an increasing of slaughterhouse, but we have also an increasing of depression, of suicides, of wars, of any kind of conflicts. And so this is also because of the increasing of the slaughterhouse, because the cows also they are representing the earth, which is Mother Bhumi. So when Mother Bhumi is mistreated, then she will react in her own way, and then of course people have to pay the karma for that. And in the Bhagavad Gita 1844, there is actually a clear injunction of the cows who has to be protected. Shi gorakshaya vaginam vaisha karmas vabhamajam. And in Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, 5, it is also saying how the cow should be protected and why. It is saying that the protection of cows maintains the most mercurious form of food, milk, for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain, for understanding higher aims of life. So the cows actually are giving us this milk, which is very, very precious for the population, because it allows us to actually have these molecules in our brain to understand the higher purpose of life, which is self-realization. And the cows not only give us milk, but anything which comes out from a cow is actually sacred, which is her urine, which is not very famous in Western countries, but if you go to India, in every corner they are selling urine, and it's normal for people to just drink it because it's healed from many, many diseases. And cow dung also is used to purify, is used to build houses. In New Mayapur, they use cow dung to build Gopaswami's house. And it's meant also to purify. With milk, we are making ghee for sacrifices, oblations. So the cows is our mother, and we can only live with cows, and people can be happy, can have a simple life, because the male cow also is gonna work on the field, so then the human is gonna be able to produce grains. So only with cows actually, like we can live simply and be happy. But unfortunately, because people nowadays in Kali Yuga want to enjoy whatever there is around and exploit everything, so human is trying to exploit others and exploit animals, and in that way human cannot be happy. So actually there is now it's not really the tendency in Europe, but if you go to London or other places, they have this cow hugging, which they pay a lot of money, like £60 for 1 hour, and they just go and hug a cow for like 1 hour because it's actually there is scientific researches that cows gives benefits. They give this mind peace and mind control, and people feel better after cows. And you know, if you experience yourself, if you go to New Mayapur or Vrindavan, and the cows there are so sweet, and when you spend time with cows, you naturally feel peaceful, you feel loved, and you feel you just feel good, because they are in the mode of goodness, actually, the cows, and they are helping us to come to this mode of goodness. So cows have got so many benefits that we can actually get from, but unfortunately the women didn't understand this and exploit the others and exploit the cows, which we actually need also to get rid of ultimately, this exploitative mentality, to try to enjoy what Krishna is giving us, but try to use it for Krishna's pleasure. So it is also in this verse is speaking about protection of cows, but also the protection of brahmanas, because brahmanas are actually the symbol of spiritual education, and they are also a symbol of spiritual guidance. They are representing the head. And as we know, Kshatriya are representing the hands, and then Vaishnav and Sudras, the lower parts of the body. So actually, without head, we don't know where we go, right? So if we don't have brahmanas, then we can just do things, but we don't know for what purpose we're doing it. It's like, you know, if you are in a train, like let's say you go in a train and there is a person next to you, and you ask to the person where you go, and the person say, I don't know. And then she said, like, why are you here? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. It sounds a little bit crazy, but this is actually the condition of the people nowadays. So without brahmana is the same. If we don't have brahmanas, which gives spiritual guidance, then the humans doesn't know where they are going and just do things for nothing, just for no purpose, just because I want to do things. In this purport, it is mentioned actually a very nice. It doesn't mention the story, but maybe I can just speak a little bit about it because it's very inspiring and it's a very beautiful story. It's because it is saying in the verse that Lord Krishna is showing respect to Sudama Vipra, which is a real Brahmana. So Lord Krishna is just showing actually how we should behave to a Brahmana himself. He's showing this what attitude we should have towards Brahmanas. And Sudama Vipra, he was actually a very, very poor Brahmana. And he was so poor that he was very skinny. And he was living with his wife. He was a householder. And his wife as well was very, very skinny. And they didn't have anything to eat, actually. They was that much poor. He used to actually be in the ashram studying with Krishna when they were small. The ashram of Sandipani Muni. And so actually one day they were so poor, like they didn't have anything to eat, so that his wife, she told him, like, Radha Parisisvara Mandir. So that she told him, please go to see Krishna, we are too poor, I cannot tolerate this life anymore. Please go, and Krishna is your friend, you spend so much time in the ashram with him, why don't you just go and, you know, ask him for a little bit of help? And so he said, no, because I don't want to go to Lord Krishna to ask for some wealth. Actually, if I go to see Krishna, it's because I want to see him. So anyway, she was insisting, and then at the end, he said, like, okay, I'm going to see Krishna, but I'm not going to see him with the attitude. Actually, in his mind, he was not going to see him to ask something. He just wanted to see Krishna because he missed Krishna, because he wanted to see his old friend with who he spent so much time when they were child. So then he goes and see Krishna. And so Krishna at that time was in Dwarka, and he was with Rukmini. And so he comes into the room, and Krishna was sitting on the bed, and Rukmini was finding him. And so Krishna saw him, and he was so happy to see him, and he hugged him, and he told him, oh, please sit next to me. And even though he was so bad looking and dirty, and, you know, like in a bad condition, because he walked so long to come to see him. And Krishna asked him, oh, so why did you come to see me? And yeah, he told him, I wanted to see you. And, you know, like, they just started to talk for like hours about like, you know, how the life was with Sandipani Muni ashram when they were children, and how, you know, all the small stories they had there. And they were speaking about that one time, you know, how the spiritual master is so important. And how actually when we take shelter of the spiritual master, then we get the mercy of being empowered to do anything that Krishna wants us to do. There is a verse saying that Vidi Panipatana Pariprashvena Sevayo Padikshanti Teganas Ganistadvadakshina. Darshina, sorry, I'm not so good in verse reciting. Please inquire from a pure devotee, from a spiritual master, and give service to him, and he will give you knowledge, because he's a self-realized soul. So this is actually the mood that we should have. We should inquire to the spiritual master in a submissive way, and he will bestow mercy on us when he sees our humility. So this was the topic that they were speaking, Sandipani Muni, Krishna and the Brahmana. And anyway, so they remembered all these stories. And then, so at the end, Krishna asked him like, "Did you bring anything for me? You know, did your wife cook some nice things?" And because when he was there with his wife, the Brahmana, he said, "I should bring something to Krishna," but they were so poor that they just like cook like few grain of rice, and that's it. That she was up. And then, and Krishna was telling him, "I'm sure that you have so much things that your wife cook for me." So he gave him this small rice, and Krishna ate it, and he was like, "Wow, this is the best rice I never had in my life. It's amazing." And so Rukmini, she told him, "This is because actually your friend is so devoted to you that you are tasting his devotion." And we know we have this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pusvam Phalam Toyam Yamabhakcha Parayachate. Whatever you give to Lord Krishna, if you give him with love, he will accept it in that way. So anyway, so he ate that rice, he was so happy, and then I didn't ask him anything. So and then on the way to going back to home, because the Brahmana is such a pure devotee, he was like thinking, "Oh, Krishna, he's so amazing, and he's so he didn't give me any wealth, even though he saw my condition, because he knew that I will become proud by this wealth." So he was like so grateful to Krishna. And this is actually should be our mood, that whatever Krishna gives us, and whatever, sometimes we have some desires, right? And when Krishna doesn't give us these desires, we can become angry and become depressed, or become like unsatisfied. But when we are in a mood of knowing that Krishna is the supreme controller and that our duty is to please him, then we are actually thinking, "Oh, Krishna, you are so nice to me. Thank you, actually, and I'm grateful to you that you actually protected me every day for giving me what you know that is the best for me." So he was in that mood. And so when he arrived at his house, this house transformed into a palace, a big palace with jewelries and so much wealth everywhere. And even his wife, she came to greet him. She was so beautiful with jewelries, and she was not skinny anymore. So ultimately, like, Krishna gave him what he came to ask for, because he understood the mind of his devotee, and he understood that actually he would not become bewildered by such wealth, because he was a pure devotee. And so this Brahmana actually showed the example of renunciation, that whatever Krishna gives us, then we should accept it and use it for Krishna's pleasure. And whatever Krishna is not giving us, then we also accept it as mercy of Krishna and see it as his mercy. So this is a nice story I wanted to share. Also wanted to talk about maybe that about some qualities that Brahmana should have. Because even though we have second initiation, that doesn't mean that actually we are a Brahmana. We are far, far away. Because as long as we didn't develop the qualities of a Brahmana, then we are not a Brahmana. So we can check ourselves. Sachinanda Swami, he wrote a nice book about Brahmanical initiation, and how is it important that you need to check yourself about, like, how you are actually acting, and how you are behaving, what is your mood, what is your thinking, because Brahmana is not actually about having just a second initiation and worshipping the deities, but it is actually attitude of service and attitude towards others, and it's actually a way of life, a way of lifestyle, and a mood of giving to others, and to teach them also, to give example and to preach by example, and not only by saying to others what to do. And so there is some qualities in the Bhagavad Gita, which are just few qualities, like tolerance, austerity, honesty, knowledge, peacefulness, religiousness, self-control, wisdom, purity, and other qualities, of course, were not here, like cleanliness, kindness towards others, for example, internal cleanness, external cleanness, internal by chanting Hare Krishna, always being in that, always chanting, and outside by always being clean. And actually, when we come to Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear about all of this, and we are agreeing about what we are hearing, right? We're saying, yeah, I should develop this quality. But actually, the real test come when we are coming out of the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Actually, what are we doing with our own time then? How do we actually behaving with other devotees? How are we living in our room? How are we interacting with our closed ones? And this is just not about to come to Srimad Bhagavatam and agreeing with Srimad Bhagavatam. The ultimate goal of Srimad Bhagavatam is to live Srimad Bhagavatam and to see life through scriptures, and not just agreeing with the scriptures, but to actually try to apply it in our life. Maharaj was saying me the other days, like, because in the instant kirtan we don't have so much time to read, and it's very intense, and even sometimes we come back from Sankirtan and we read, but because we are so tired we don't even understand what we are reading. So, but he was saying, if you just try to listen Bhagavatam class in the morning attentively, and then you just apply it in your day, whatever you are hearing, then you try to remember, even a small thing you try to remember, and then you try to apply in your day, then you will see how Krishna is carrying you. So actually, just by making this conscious effort of just applying a small thing from what we are hearing from the class, then we can make some progress. And a nice way to do it is also to discuss Bhagavatam with our friends and just ask devotees, what did you understand from the Bhagavatam class this morning? And then everyone has got some realization or some different understanding of what they are hearing. And so in that we can discuss with devotees, because we should associate with each other in that way, to actually speak about scriptures, not to complain or to be frustrated or to speak about the weather, or ultimately, we should associate devotees in that way, to speak about scriptures, to speak about Krishna. And also we can see which devotees are inspiring us and which devotees we want to associate with, and seek this association of devotees who are inclined to actually speak about Krishna, not to speak about sense gratification. So something else I wanted to speak about is that actually in this verse is that it is speaking about that if human society wants to be exalted, the leader of society must follow the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita. So actually I was thinking that the Bhagavad Gita has got all the instruction in the world, because the Bhagavad Gita, she can teach us everything. She teaches how we can live in the world. She can teach us how to love, also how to love Krishna, and she also teaches how to live the world, which is meaning how to die. So Bhagavad Gita contains all the instruction, and that's why it's so important that the only remedy of this Kali Yuga is to distribute Bhagavad Gitas to others, because when they have it in their hands, then they have the manual of instruction about self-realization and how to realize God, but not only that, about how to live in this world. Like in the same way that in the Bhagavad Gita, it is described the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas and the Kshatriya, and what they should do. In the same way, when we give it Bhagavad Gita to others, it can also teach them about these topics. And actually, Bhagavad Gita is so large that can attain any kind of people in the world. Rich people, poor people, students, old people. We just need to have the intelligence to know how to present the Bhagavad Gita to any kind of people in the society, because it can reach the people who likes grammar, Sanskrit, people who are just looking for some peace of mind, who likes yoga, who like meditation. Also, Bhagavad Gita teach how to develop some qualities, how to conquer fear, how to be free, how to avoid burnout, how to become detached. Any kind of actually qualities we can find in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is actually the level of when we reach the level of Madhyam Adhikari, is to know what we can say to the people, that it's digestible for them. That means not too much and not too little. And when we attain that stage, also we understand what each people who comes new to Krishna consciousness, we know what we can tell him that he can digest it in a certain way. And sometimes it happens that when newcomers comes, too much is given to them and they cannot digest, and then they go and they leave Krishna consciousness sometimes. But a level of Madhyamikari should know Actually, we should know what is the limit, what we can say to others, of what they can hear or not hear. That's why when we present Bhagavad Gita, we should present it in a way that is digestible for others. Of course, we know that the ultimate goal of Bhagavad Gita is to actually to realize that we are a soul, that we are a servant of Krishna, and that to realize God. But maybe for some kind of people, this is gonna be too straightforward for them, and they're not gonna take it. So that's why, now you can see that there is a change of preaching. Like Devamrita Swami, he started all these Western programs in New Zealand and in other countries and which have the most actually success in all the kind of preaching that exists for now for the Western people, because he understood that actually you need to come at the level of the people to reach them. You cannot give them something which is come with sometimes with your own presenting the Krishna consciousness in a way that's not digestible for them, basically. So if you go to London and you see like Studio 108, this is what they are doing there. They are offering a atmosphere which is very welcoming and very kind of chill and very friendly, and where is no cultural barriers, and when people just feel comfortable, doesn't feel like sometimes some weirdness between men's and women's, like when you are in the culture you understand, but for Western people for them it's completely awkward. And so in that atmosphere they actually feel comfortable, and then we naturally make friends with them, and not some genuine friendship actually, when we are not just telling them the philosophy, but we are actually caring about them and giving them love, and using the kind of the exchanges that we know in the nectar of instruction about accepting gift, of them a seat, of them help, all this. And they, at some point, because they are humans, the heart melts, because you are so kind with them, and and because people feel so lonely in this world. Most of the people actually don't have friends. When you speak to people, I distribute books on the street, like many people tell me, I'm feeling lonely, I don't have friends, I'm alone here, and it's so heartbroken actually to see that people are feeling lonely and sad, but they just don't know how to get out from this. They just have no idea. And just by giving them some love, by giving them some care, then they feel like, oh, I want to do something for that person. And so this is how they start with devotional service, and without knowing it, they start to cook, they start to help. And at some point they're like, oh, what are you doing, like in the morning? Or you start to speak about your life, and they start to chant. And and some of them sometimes they will come to the temple maybe 2 years, 3 years after, but they are devotees. It doesn't mean that they have to come to the temple. Some of them comes and become brahmacharinis or brahmacharis. Everyone has got different tendencies. Actually, more Kali Yuga will advance, less brahmachari. There will be more grihastha people, because more Kali Yuga advance, more level of austerity is gonna decrease in that way. Because we can see even now, if we speak to Prabhupada disciples, how the level of austerity was so high in their time, and now we are able to do with because the mind is more disturbed, the body is more weak, and it is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well that more we are advancing, more also the age is decreasing. So we're gonna be able to live less, we're gonna be more sick. And like that, it's unfortunately the condition. But we can just try to do our best with what Krishna is giving us and using for the service. And that's why we have this last incarnation of Krishna coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is to actually giving us this. He came with the Harinam Sankirtan, which is congregational chanting, and then he went all over India, and then he was just giving this holy name to everyone, and everyone came and joined the party, and this is also, if we want to take part of this Harinam Sankirtan, if we want to become an instrument of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we need to go in, we need to jump into it. Of course, Krishna is giving us the free will, but we can use our free will in a positive way by assisting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, and spreading this Harinam Sankirtan. It is said actually, Gorakera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. how do we enter to Golokera Premadan? How we enter to Goloka Vrindavan is to actually by Harinam Sankirtan. So this is actually the way how we can enter it's not a place, but it's a consciousness, state of consciousness, pure devotional service. It's by Harinam Sankirtan, by assisting. And actually, ultimately, we want to please our guru, but actually, how we can please our guru? Actually, we can please our guru by pleasing Nityananda Prabhu. And how we can please Nityananda Prabhu? By pleasing Gauranga Prabhu. So in that way, it goes like that until Krishna. So actually, sorry, it's the other way around. So because I remember that Maharaj was describing that one time. So how we can please Krishna? We please Radharani, right? So how we can please Radharani? By pleasing the gopis. How we can please the gopis is by pleasing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And how we can please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? By pleasing Gauranga Prabhu. And how we can please Gauranga Prabhu? We are pleasing Nityananda Prabhu. And then how we please Nityananda Prabhu? By pleasing the spiritual master. So this is how we can enter into this realm of pleasing Krishna. So of course the instructions are different according to the disciples, but our goal is to follow Srila Prabhupada. And if we read about Srila Prabhupada and we read the Lilamrita, which is actually his life, it's all about preaching. Everything about his life is all about preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness. So he would even like use money to not build temple, just to print books. So this is his focus, and this is his mind. If we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Chaitanya Charitamrita is the mind of Krishna, and the Srimad Bhagavatam is the activities of Krishna. So the mind of Krishna is to preach, because Chaitanya Charitamrita is all about preaching. If it just describes about the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how he goes to place and preach the glories of Krishna. And so in that way, if we want to understand the mind of Guru, if we want to please the heart of Krishna, and then we have to go out of our comfort zone, because this is how Prabhupada did. He went out of his comfort zone and he preached. Of course, we may have many excuses. We may say, I am old, or I am sick, or I am this and I am that, and the mind is very professional. Actually, it's his duty to give us the excuses. And so this is the free will enter here, and then we can listen the mind, or we can, or we can just say to the mind, please don't speak and let me do my duty, and then just choose to please Krishna and try to do something. Of course, there is many ways of preaching, because actually Krishna is giving a talent to each and every one of us. And at the beginning, we don't know really what is our talent. That's why we do all services and we try everything. But as we are advancing in Krishna consciousness, we find Krishna sends us a guru, and then he manifests what is our quality and what is our talents to serve Krishna in this lifetime. What is our best contribution to this movement? And so also if we don't have a guru, we can ask to authorities, temple presidents, mentorship. That's why it's so important to have a mentor, because they can tell you, they can guide you in that way. And in that way, you can use this specific talents that Krishna gave you and try to become perfected, and more, because there is no end of devotional service. It's like in the spiritual world, the gopis always want to give more pleasure to Krishna, and there is no end. Even if they do the same thing every day, they don't remember that it is the same thing. It's just so much, they feel so much ecstasy, more and more ecstasy. There's no end. So in the same way, Krishna can increase our also propensity to serve him in an extraordinary way. And we just need to take shelter of the spiritual master and seek blessings from him, to inquire submissively from him. The only question we should ask actually is, how can I serve you, Maharaj? How can I serve you? And this question was actually the beginning of humility of the disciples towards the guru. And then the guru, he will He will impart to you the intelligence. He will give you the intelligence to know what you have to do and in what way. And Krishna also will give you intelligence because he's sitting within our hearts, and he's also giving us intelligence on how we can act and how we can preach, in what way we should preach, in what some people has got more talents to preach to certain kind of people. Some people are more specialized in Indian community, some people with schools, some people with universities. So we have to see which our where we can contribute the most and where we are the best, and then do it. Sometimes it's better to not force. It's better to do our own duty than the duty of someone else imperfectly. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita. We just do our best of what Krishna gives us, and then we just try to perfect that. We cannot do everything perfectly, but some things we can do. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. Does anyone have any question or corrections or reflections or realizations? Yes.
This morning I was thinking, what is the relation between our preaching in the town and the communities we are part of installed to as devotees to have a simple life?
What is the relationship between the community, like the farms, and the outreach preaching in the streets? Is the question. Yeah, because they are actually going together. Because when we distribute the books, of course the person maybe in the best way he will read the book and then come to a closer center and then become a devotee of Krishna. But as we know, actually in this verse it is speaking about the Brahminical culture, which is actually establishing the Varnashram system. And the Varnashram system is about there is different Varnas and Brahmachari, Grihastha. And this is the way how we should follow this Varnashram system to be able to attain self-realization. This is the system which has been given to us by Krishna, which is Brahmanas, Brahmanas, Kshatriya, and Vanaprasthas and Sannyas, right? So at the beginning stage we are Brahmachari, and then at some point we change ashram and become Grihastha for most of the people. Most of the Brahmacharis change ashram. And then in that way you need to live somewhere, and so the best way to live for Grihasthas, most of the people, is to be in the farm, live in a simple life, and to have this kind of lifestyle which is very positive for a family life, because then children can grow up in a healthy environment, and you can focus on self-realization. Of course not all the Grihasthas are doing this or have to do it, but Prabhupada emphasizes that both should be there to give the choice to the people. And also in Vanaprastha stage especially, it's advised to go live in reclusion and to let the young people take the leads, then the new devotees, and then you go in the forest and then chant Hare Krishna like Gopaswami Prabhu and his wife, and then like that live the body, and hopefully being able to remember Krishna at the time of death. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and thank you for giving me that opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, and I wish to everyone a wonderful day of whatever service they have to do. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Harini mtj.
Yes? Should I say something in the camera?
Just show